We're an international research and development centre based in Kenya, although we work in 34 countries throughout the developing world to progress the science and practice of agroforestry. Now, we're here with quite a large team of about 30 specialists to help engage with civil society, with the negotiators and the private sector for their aspirations coming out of Paris.
Okay. And is the message getting through so far, do you think?
I think there's great hope. We were here at the opening and it was fantastic to see 150 heads of state all in the same room, all at the same time. I understand that's never been achieved before. And they set the tone. There was quite a bit of hope about finance, which has been a sticking point before. And I think that may have helped start to unlock some of the sticking points. The legally binding nature, or whether it's legally framed or its final status, is yet to be resolved. And I think the priorities that people will address of we can't do everything, what are the things we need to do first, what are aspirational. And I think Francois Hollande framed it very well when he said it's better that we aim high and miss it than aim low and achieve it.
Where do forests and landscapes come into all of this? Some say in the past they're the forgotten element of a deal, but what are you seeing?
How far back do you want to go? 350 million years ago, when forests and trees emerged on our planet, the temperature was 10 degrees hotter than it is today, and CO2 concentrations were 10 times what they are today. And it's trees and their growth that made this planet habitable for humans. And their destruction will make it uninhabitable for humans. So forests cover 4 billion hectares of our land area, just over 30% of that. But at one stage they covered 60%. And how low do we want to go? And so what is that? All of those products and services that we get from those forests that are so crucial. As we cut down the forests in Europe and North America, many developing countries, and their margin is a long way away, how are we using those distant forests for water supply, for climate regulation, for hydrological functioning, and biodiversity conservation in much more productive ways? In the developing world, we're missing a lot of that tree cover. And so putting that tree cover back into farmers' fields is a key part of what we're doing at the individual farm level, at the village level, the watershed, and that whole landscape approach of trying to tie it together.
Can you talk us some of the positive examples in the countries in which you operate?
I think one of the most fascinating examples in the last couple of years has been India. India has 24% tree cover, and the government wants to move to 33%. Now, a very populous country, they're not going to get that by restoring degraded forests. There isn't enough area available. We're talking something like 27 million hectares of new forested land, new tree cover. That's going to come about through agricultural lands, through rural lands, through wastelands and mining areas. And so that's the challenge to bring those trees back in a very productive way. And those rural farmers don't know much about carbon and climate change and the international negotiations, but they do know about their livelihoods and what makes sense for them in terms of firewood, in terms of fruit, in terms of other forms of energy, in terms of timber, building materials, and in terms of shade. So the world is worried about a 2-degree climate change. On average, you can get a 6-degree temperature drop under the shade of a canopy of trees. So, +2 and -6, the arithmetic is in favour of trees in more places on our planet.
On Tuesday it was Forest Day, and there was a series of announcements, one by Prince Charles, and a big commitment, I think, of about 7 or more governments to tackling deforestation, more money for REDD+ schemes. Do you think it's getting through to negotiators now? Are we making some serious progress on getting it into the high political discussions?
Yes and no. REDD had its coming out party in 2007 in Bali, and it has been progressing through the negotiations, but we're 8 years on now. If we really want to give it highest priority, we can make it happen tomorrow. It's fantastic, the new commitments, particularly from the governments of UK, Norway and Germany towards that extra REDD+ money. It's fantastic what the World Bank schemes are doing, and even the European initiatives on forestry. However, it's not enough. We've got 4 billion hectares of forest, 2 billion temperate, 2 billion tropical. And the amount of finance that's going into it equates to cents on the hectare of forest. And therefore, the opportunity costs of converting those to agriculture or something else are always in favour of conversion, not in terms of the real value. And underpinning that is probably the price of carbon.
Anthony Simons, thanks very much.